It's time to turn your life-challenging moments into life-changing messages. Welcome to the PowerLift Stories podcast, where we are interviewing women whose stories will leave you lifted up, fired up, and fueled up with hope, courage, and inspiration. We want to thank our sponsor, Powerful Journey, who helps women tell their stories, write their books, and building a profitable brand around both. Join the Masterclass or the Speakers Academy at phyllisjenkins.com. That is PHYLLISJENKINS.com. Now here's your host, Phyllis Jenkins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are here excited once again to bring you an amazing and powerful story as we are celebrating Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I want to invite and welcome, not only is she a sister in Christ, a friend, but we are relatives as well. She is a cousin of mine, and Cynthia Dotson-Brown is who we have with us today. Cynthia, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yes, and I am going to introduce you, and if I leave out anything, feel free to come behind me and add it because you have done so much, my sister. Again, we have Cynthia Dotson-Brown with us today. Cynthia was born in my hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana, and she is a licensed clinical social worker and a licensed chemical dependency counselor, doing some great work here. Cynthia obtained her undergraduate degree from the University of North Texas in Denton in rehabilitation studies, and she obtained her master's of social work from the University of Texas at Arlington. Cynthia has been in the substance abuse and mental health field for over 25 years. Congratulations, that's a milestone. Cynthia has published a book. She's the author of Still Dancing in Spite of Life's Adversities, where she details her battle with breast cancer in her ongoing effort to educate women of color. Cynthia currently serves as a social worker specializing in mental health and substance abuse concerns for the VA hospital in Houston, Texas. She and her business partner are owners and operators of a women retreat business, appropriately named Healing the Healers. I absolutely love that and look forward to you sharing more about that with our listeners. Their ultimate goal in this business is to assist women in transforming their lives and achieving their personal and professional goals utilizing a retreat setting. And I will tell you all, I saw a picture of the retreat and it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The first retreat since COVID will be December 4th through the 6th, 2020, in Galveston, Texas. So need I say more how beautiful it is there. The retreat will consist of meditation, yoga, Yona streams, life coaching sessions, and the grand opportunity to spend quality time with other women who simply want to heal from situations which have caused them to become stagnated in many areas of their lives. The retreat is limited to only 8 ladies, and that's so that they can keep everyone safe, use safety measures during this time. The next retreat will be offered in the spring, and again, you'll hear more about that. Last but certainly not least, Cynthia offers in her own individual practice, individual therapy for women dealing with addiction concerns, and it is called FACES, which stands for Facing Addictions and Changing Expectations. Cynthia, I applaud you already for everything that you're doing and for what God is continuing to allow you to do. And as we jump into the interview, I want to ask you, as I ask all of my women that come on the podcast, before you tell your story, if you could give your story a title, what would that title be and why?
It would be A Place of Peace. And I say that because before I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I think I was in a battle. My physical, emotional, and spiritual life was all over the place. I think I was lost and didn't even know it. And after the diagnosis, I think I like to tell people that it was a blessing in disguise because of that diagnosis, I learned to let go of things that served me no purpose. And I learned to give things over to God. I certainly couldn't do the work by myself. I don't want to leave this earth without being in a place of peace.
Wow.
And I like to say today, that's where I am.
Love that. Love that. A place of peace. How cancer brought you to a place of peace. How amazing. How amazing is that? Cynthia, would you now share your story with us, please?
I want to start with, I was misdiagnosed at the age of 39. I was working, I was in management, I was busy. And I found the lump and I knew it was there, but I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't want to deal with it. But I remember going to the doctor and I remember the doctor telling me that it was just a cyst. And he gave me antibiotics, he gave me medication saying that it would simply go away. I actually believe the medication that he gave me caused it to grow. And so for about a year, it grew, and I could feel it. By the time I really decided to go to the doctor, it was almost the size of a fist. And by that time, it had started to hurt. And I remember the doctor saying it can't be cancer because cancer doesn't hurt. And I kept saying, but it's something. But I'm gonna be honest, I was completing my undergraduate degree. I was in management. I had school-age children. My daughter was a junior, I think, and my son was getting ready to start his first year of college. And I really didn't have time to be sick, and I really wanted to hear that it was a cyst. So I continued on like it was a cyst. And finally, I turned 40. And by that time, the cyst had grown to really the size of, like I said, a fist, but it was hurting. I was literally be in a meeting and I would have to grab my breast because it hurt so bad. And about that time, I'm like, I'm 40 now, and they can't deny me the mammogram. So I went back to the doctor. And I still remember that nurse when I went in for the mammogram and she put me on the machine and I saw this look come on her face. And it was a look like I knew whatever she was about to tell me wasn't going to be good. She left the room. She said, I'll be right back. And she left. She was gone a long time. And I'm sitting there thinking, they're going to come back in here and they're going to tell me something's wrong. And I remember her coming back in the room and she said, I don't know what it is. All I know is it shouldn't be there. And they referred me to a surgeon and I went in and I remember him scheduling me for the biopsy. And I remember that day going to my aunt's house and who's a nurse, and I crawled in her bed and I cried and I said, I don't know what's going on, but I know that I'm getting ready to face something that is going to be life-changing. So I went in for the biopsy and it was supposed to be a minor procedure where they were going to just do a needle aspiration. But I remember coming to and all of my family was surrounding the bed and I was bandaged and the doctor came in and he just looked at me and he said, it's cancer. And he turned and walked out. He didn't stay to explain anything. He just left. And my family, they wouldn't maintain contact. I remember it was a funny story. I looked outside the room and my pastor was walking up and down the hallway. And I'm thinking, if he's here, something's wrong, you know? So I went home to heal, and I went back for the follow-up. And I remember him telling me that the cancer had already spread, you know, to different parts of my body. He said I had a 50% chance of surviving. And I think at that moment, I realized he couldn't be my doctor because he was giving me a death sentence. And I'm thinking, and that's why I remember telling him, I said, you know, thank you for this information, but I'm going to seek a second opinion. And like I said, my aunt's a nurse, and so she found me this wonderful, amazing doctor that I still love today, Dr. Ganaraj at the Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas. And I went in, and I remember her looking at me because I had taken the bandage off of my breast, and instead of doing the needle aspiration, he had taken out the lump, which was something he shouldn't have done. So anyway, she immediately scheduled me for the surgeon, another surgeon to talk to, and they told me that, you know, I would have a mastectomy and all of these wonderful things would occur. So I went in for the surgery, and what started out should have been a 6-hour surgery, kind of went longer. There was complications, but I had a mastectomy, a reconstruct, and I did 6 months of chemotherapy, all while working. So I think I'm at, I want to say going into 18 years of surviving breast cancer.
Congratulations. And what a powerful message you have, and what a courageous woman you are. Wow. As I listen to your story, and as our listeners listen, there was so much valuable content that you just shared, and how God walked you through it. And God does show himself mighty. He reveals himself through life situations and life experiences. So how has he revealed himself to Cynthia throughout this journey that you've been on?
I like to tell people that before my diagnosis, I think I was an angry woman. I had gone through so many life adversities, from childhood to being divorced, being a single mother. I almost felt like I was just surviving just by chance, you know. And I used to tell people that I feel like in that lump was years of anger, years of hurt, years of pain. I used to tell my story by telling what happened to me in my childhood, but with that diagnosis of breast cancer, I feel like they removed all of that hurt and pain.
Wow.
There was a story that I remember. I told you earlier that I had some complications. So when I got back to the room, I remember being in the bed and just being in so much pain, a type of pain that I had never experienced before. And the doctors kept coming in and they kept saying she should be getting better, you know, but I couldn't lift my head. It was almost like there was a part of me that had given up. You know, I knew I had breast cancer, and I knew maybe I was still playing that tape in my head of the doctor saying that I had a 50% chance of surviving. So I remember one particular night laying in bed, just hurting. Everybody had left. And I remember laying there, just thinking and praying and not understanding why I couldn't get up, why I was feeling worse and not better. And I heard some footsteps coming, you know, and it was just like these footsteps was coming toward me. And I don't know, it probably was the medication. I could have been hallucinating. I don't know. but I felt like these footsteps was coming for me. And I remember starting to pray, and I remember just saying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I remember the footsteps stopping at my door. And for some reason, they went past my door. And I just remember the next morning getting up out of the bed, taking a shower, and walking down the hall, because I felt like that was my opportunity. God was telling me that I still had so much more to do. And I think that birthed in me a fight that I didn't know I had. And so I tell people that breast cancer saved my life. You know, it literally saved my life. And it started me on this journey. I think that I'm on today. No longer afraid of failure, you know, just ready to embrace whatever God has for me.
Wow. Absolutely wonderful. And you said so much in that. One was how that doctor came in and said you had a 50% chance. And then you stated that while you were laying in that bed, not able to even raise your head, that maybe you were still thinking about what he said.
Yeah.
So what would you say right now to a woman who is actually in that place right now? She is playing over and over in her head those negative words that she's heard from the doctor. How would you recommend, since you walked through those shoes, how do you recommend that she have a change of mindset?
Definitely get a second opinion. I used the things that I went through. I started looking at books. I would go to the library, I would Google, and I didn't see a lot of ladies that looked like me. And a lot of the statistics said that Black women don't survive like other races, because we don't get a second opinion, or we don't follow up on care, or we don't go through all the surgeries or treatments, you know. So I would definitely say get a second opinion. Don't be afraid of what someone speaks over your life, because God still has the final answer.
Yes.
And I used that when I wrote my book, because after my surgery, I remember when I would go for chemotherapy, the doctor always said it was my attitude that I would walk in. I would be fully made up. I'd have my scarf on. I would be dressed like I was going somewhere. And I remember they always said it's about your attitude. So even when I wasn't feeling good, I still would act as if I did, you know. So I spent a lot of times working with other women about, I would even go to the doctor appointments with them. The doctor would call me and they say, we have a lady who she's concerned or she's afraid. And they would call me and they said, will you come in? And I remember walking in, this young lady, she's still one of my closest friends. And I had a button down shirt on. And so I had never met this lady, and I opened my shirt and I showed her my breast. I showed her my scarf, because she was struggling with doing the surgery. So I believe that we have to be a sisterhood. We have to let people know that even when someone tells you you can't make it, that you can.
I love how you have turned your situation around to help other women, and that the doctors saw that and use you as a resource.
Yeah.
How great is that? I often tell the ladies that go through the Powerful Journey programs that your story can become the tool in somebody else's toolkit of survival.
Yes.
And that's exactly the picture that you just painted, and how beautiful that is. And not only were you able to help her in that moment of making a decision that she needed that could help save her life, but to say that you all have built a relationship now is absolutely amazing, just amazing. Speak a little about your book and let our listeners know how they can get a copy of your book.
The book to be honest, is hard to get right now. So it's out of print. I still have a few copies.
Okay.
But I wrote the book during the time because there wasn't any books, like I said, that looked like me. I couldn't find a lot of books with information concerning women of color. So when I wrote it to help because I wanted other ladies to get all the information, to know that it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to get a second opinion. I wanted to talk about the statistics, the different treatments. I wanted to tell them about my breast cancer and how I walked through it. So it was basically, for me, at the time I wrote it, it was a healing journey for me. It's been, the book has been, I wrote it over, 18 years ago, my first year out. And at the time, I used it in a lot of my speaking events. My goal is to republish the book. So that's what I'm working on now.
Wonderful.
So hopefully in the not too distant future, I'll have more copies available.
Wonderful, wonderful. And before I ask you the very last question during this interview, I mentioned the retreat that you have coming up. Would you please share that? And to our listeners, I will have all of the information, the flyer on my website, and in this link that you're listening to right now, you will be able to click on the link and be able to see exactly the retreat, the dates, and everything. But I would like for you at this moment, Cynthia, to just share about the retreat.
My business partner and I, we came up with this vision. When I moved to Houston, I met this wonderful group of ladies, nurses, doctors, educators, and we became this group where we helped mentor and walk through a lot of life challenges together. I'm also a social worker, and I work with a variety of women who are just stuck from trauma that they've endured from the military, childhood, broken marriages, mental illness. And what we found out is a lot of times they don't have a place of refuge where they can heal without being judged, without being ridiculed. And we wanted to offer an environment where ladies could come and practice self-care, self-love, and be surrounded by women who believe in their pain, but also wanted to teach them that you didn't have to stay in that pain, that healing was available. A lot of times people are afraid of the healing because you actually have to walk through on a journey. You may have to revisit some places that you didn't want to go, and so this retreat, this is our first one, and it's going to offer a 3-day sessions where they will come, they will stay in the house, all the meals will be provided, and they will get to do a lot of life coaching sessions, a lot of group work, a lot of meditation, yoga. They will get to do some one-on-one work with the providers. I'm a therapist. My business partner is a nurse. And so they will actually get to be able to be comfortable sharing whatever struggles they're going on with these ladies. And I like to tell people that they won't go home the same. They will definitely leave empowered to do something different with their lives.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a powerful 3 days. And again, I saw a picture of the location, and it is simply inviting and so beautiful. So I I'm just sure that every woman who attends is going to walk away, as you said, differently from
We hope
the
so.
way that they came. And again, it's limited to only 8 ladies. So you'll have to act fast so that you're not left out.
I believe we may have 1 slot left.
Oh, okay. So you will have to act immediately once you hear this podcast
Yeah.
to get to go to that one. And if not, there's one coming up in the spring. But
Yes.
so great. Well, Cynthia, you have an amazing, powerful story that has truly been a blessing to me. And I'm sure it will be such a blessing to every woman who is listening right now. And my very last question for you is for you to imagine that you have stood on a stage in front of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women. As far as you could see, there were women. And you shared your story. The applause has been magnificent. The women have now turned to walk away. The curtains have closed. And now you, Cynthia, are preparing to walk away to return to your home. But as you do, you have in your mind 3 powerful points that you hope that every woman heard and walked away with. What are those 3 points?
Don't let anyone tell your story. They may get it wrong. And never give up on your dreams. And for me, the last one, remember what God promised you.
All 3 exceptional points there. Wow. And you are so right. No one can tell your story the way you can because it's your story. And yes, we all do have a story. And as I've said over and over again, that story is not for us. It's for us to share it, to go and be a blessing, just as your story today has been a blessing to every listener. How can our listeners contact you, Cynthia?
We're still building our website, but I will give you all the information. If there is someone, and I believe you should have my phone number, that really wants to get in touch with me, you are welcome to give them my information.
Great. Well, I do have that phone number, and I will have everything again in the show notes there, and you can visit my website, PhyllisJenkins.com, and that's Phyllis, PhylLIS, Jenkins, JENKINS.com for more information. So again, I am so honored to have had you, Cynthia.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing your powerful story. And may God continue to bless the works of your hands as you move forward to be such a blessing to others. Thank you again for listening. We'll see you next week on PowerLift Stories podcast. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. If you are interested in being on the show, go to PhyllisJenkins.com. You can also sign up for the Powerful Journey Masterclass or the Speakers Academy at PhyllisJenkins.com.